Ste svedkami vzniku životného diela nenápadného autora. Inšpiruje ho príroda, plná pulzujúceho života. Vyniká aj vďaka svojmu jedinečnému pohľadu na svet. Ľahko ho môžeme prehliadnúť, a pritom je velikánom medzi tvorcami. Tentokrát sa ocitol tvárou v tvár svojej najsilnejšej inšpirácii. Udáva mu smer, zapaľuje v ňom kreativitu. Aj toto dielo vzniklo vďaka ich unikátnemu spojeniu. Predstavujeme vám autora životného diela River Sun, včelu medonosnú. River Sun od Jaroslava Kišu, inšpirované slnkom a vytvorené včelami, nájdete v centrále VUB banky.
Hello. Let me fix my hat. It's a little crooked. Hey now. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of The Stitch Life. And today's episode, we are going to be focusing on fashion inventory management. So a couple different things are aligned when it comes to fashion inventory management. But first, let me just tell you guys, I am on location. I'm actually at FIT, one of the most top-rated fashion institutes in the world. I actually teach fashion inventory management here. I taught it last semester, and then this semester I'm teaching data analytics and merchandising strategies. Now, fashion inventory management, along with data analytics, along with merchandising strategies, all go hand in hand. They're all one spectrum, and different things from each one you'll go ahead and you'll apply. Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is my putting on my professor hat since I'm on campus today, and I'm gonna just kind of talk you through and walk you through a couple of different things. Now, fashion inventory management can be done from two standpoints. One being a new brand, so you're like launching a product, and then the other one would be a more established brand trying to understand what their inventory level should look like. So both are really two different processes, because with if you're a more of established brand, you're working off of your historical data, what has sold in the past, what sizes have sold really well, what colors, what locations have done really well. So it's, you have a little bit more to work with. But as a new brand, you have no historical data. So what you have to focus on is like market research. And then this new tool, I want to make sure you guys check it out. It's called First Insight. I'm not too sure how much it costs, because it is something that we get with the school. But what it does is it gives you market research and AI and current analytics. So you can upload a style to that website once you get an account with them and everything. And then they'll tell you, pricing wise, what feedback you're getting, color wise, description wise, like how well it's going to do. So if you haven't heard of First Insight, definitely check it out, because it's perfect for understanding what products to like have heavy inventory levels or low inventory levels. And then there's another thing called safety stock. Safety stock is what you kind of have in the background just in case, and when to order safety stock. So let's get into it. Fashion inventory management is made up of MADP, lead times, as well as forecasting. So that's seasonality, demand forecasting, and lead time variances. So what happens is, let's say we're going to come from a new designer standpoint. That's what we're going to come from. Okay. So from a new designer standpoint, you are going to look at a few things. Let's say you don't have the use of technology, or let's say some of these AI programs and some of this technology is too expensive. These are some different tactics that you can utilize that will help you understand how much inventory to actually do. So the first thing being is what's on your social media. When you post product shots and or lifestyle images, instead of you saying like shop now or on sale now or link in bio to purchase, you want to ask questions. Asking questions is market research. I don't know if you guys have noticed lately, but Instagram has a new tool. That new tool is called polls. So you can say, hey, which color do you like the most out of this one, opposed to selling it. So that way you can get a poll, so you can kind of see what people are gravitating towards. You can even do that poll with pricing, like would you pay $200 for this, or 200 and above, or would you pay 200 and below? And you can have a poll there. So I'm really glad that social media, well, Instagram specifically, has added this feature, because it helps you with doing market research just by asking questions and adding the poll to your posts. Okay. So that's one way. Now, another thing is on the back end of Instagram and TikTok and these other ones, you'll have that insights button. Looking at that insights button is very, very crucial. What you'll find on that insights is how many people shared it, of course, how many people liked it, how many people saved it as well. Looking at that data as well will help you understand which pieces are best, because you're going to not necessarily put up a post that has like 5 pieces in it. You kind of want to be strategic and do it like one by one. That way you're getting information and data for that one particular product. And maybe you can throw up maybe some different colorways. Another thing that I've done in the past is when I post an image of something that I'm selling that's apparel, I'll say, hey, drop your size in the comments if you like this, because what that does is give me an idea of what body types it's clinging to, like, or what people would like it. If it's like a lot of mediums in there, I know to go heavy on the medium. If there's a lot of larges or smalls, or vice versa, if it's like 2, 3, 4s, whatever, that'll tell me what exactly what it is that I need to know. So then you take that data and then you think about what actually can you utilize? What can you utilize to put into your actual inventory? So that's the way that you want to do that. So when it comes to your actual inventory, you can take your data, but another thing that you can also do is, what is it called? I just literally had a brain fart. Ugh. Pre-orders, sorry. You can take your pre-order data as well. So that way you have social analytics, you have the pre-orders and people that are interested, and then you take those and you look at that data. And I think the hardest part about analyzing all of this is looking at data to see where to go and what does the data tell you. Sometimes you gotta like zero in on a specific thing, whether it's size, whether it's color, whether it's particular style. So ideally you want to look at everything like across the board. And as you look at everything across the board, you'll be able to tell. So if, let's say hypothetically, I'm selling a blouse and it comes in 3 different colors, and my pre-order and my data is telling me like, oh, the medium in size black, like 100 people viewed it. But then in the white one, only like 20 people viewed it. So clearly, you know that the black is more popular. And then another little trick too. If you're utilizing Shopify, Shopify has a tool on the back end on the dashboard that tells you what people are adding to cart, what people are searching for, and what people are necessarily maybe looking for that they cannot find. So maybe people are typing in a certain thing like skirts or something like that. Those things will also pop up on the dashboard on Shopify. I'm pretty sure it's the same on like Wix and Square or WordPress or any other website that you may utilize. But the one on Shopify is very deep. Like you can even see down to what size they're adding to the cart, what colors they're adding to the cart, even if they don't purchase, you know? So even without it being like a purchase driven thing, you can still see what's going on and what's happening. Okay. All of those things are the things that you need to pay attention to. Now, another thing with fashion inventory management is lead time variance. Now, lead time depends on the vendor. Okay. So the vendor changes. So whoever the vendor technically is also, we can call that the factory, or you yourself could, if you're making everything yourself, I guess technically that you're the vendor. So you want to keep in mind how long it takes to produce a certain amount. So if it takes let's say it takes 4 weeks to produce a very, very small run. When you think about how long it takes from it actually being manufactured to like it going to shipping to like get into your warehouse to it get into packaging, you got to think about that time frame. So when you're managing like your different inventory levels, it's a good idea to create what they call the 6-month plan. Some of that stuff I kind of went over in previous episodes. So you need like to give yourself a cushion. So if ideally it takes 4 weeks, you might want to add on an extra 10 to maybe 15 days. So maybe 5 to 6 weeks, so that when you know that you have gotten to like week 3 and you've already sold through 30%. Remember from last episode from marketing, we've sold through 30% of our units. Now it's time to reorder that safety stock so that we can sell a whole bunch of maintenance stage. So yeah, I hope you guys understand how everything flows together. So selling through 30% is a big chunk. And if it's selling well, that means it's time to replenish and to reorder. So that's when you do it. And then outside of lead time variances, there's this thing called seasonality. Now, seasonality doesn't mean that a style is seasonal. For instance, swimwear is seasonal, but sometimes because you got a resort and then you got all these different areas where it is hot environments and stuff too. So sometimes but that's not considered seasonality. An example of seasonality would be like polo men's shirts during Father's Day. You know that during Father's Day that you're going to sell a lot of those. So that is something that you would assign basically like a seasonality like code or whatever. That's what you would do. So with like that seasonality code, you'll kind of get an idea of exactly what and when to order certain things. Okay, so we're going to cut to a commercial break and we'll be right back.
There's a couple things I'd like to say to you. After all the crazy things that we've been through, I needed you in the dead of night, the wake of the day, first broken light, and blind I'd fall, I'd follow you. I never realized how much I needed you.
Comfort. What we deliver by delivering.
I think it's so great that the advertising for today was FedEx. And the reason why I think that is because shipping, so if you think about like shipping and how long that takes, because that's what we were leaving off at, like that logistics or whatever, that could be a very, very long time as well. It just kind of depends on when your orders are placed. Okay. So another thing that you want to think about is the most important thing. And shipping and logistics is great, but the most important thing is demand forecasting. So when it comes to demand forecasting, you're going to want to use a lot of things. One of them being WGSN. If you don't have a membership, you should probably get one. Business of Fashion, Women's Wear Daily, like all of these different platforms where you can look at what's going on in a particular market. You must look at your competitors and what they're doing and what's happening around you. You also must think about where we are and what's going on in the world when it comes to demand forecasting. So demand forecasting can be alternated by a pandemic, a shift in what consumers are doing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like after the pandemic, we got into a space where like suiting and like workwear wasn't as important because you saw a lot of companies starting to get into a space where they have a more relaxed environment, or people are working remote or they are working hybrid. So if you're working remote and hybrid and you don't have to go to the office every day, you really don't need workwear clothing. So is that a good market to go in? How is that market happening? We kind of launched into loungewear and athleisure wear after that. that's the market that is like really, really popping right now because people don't need, I ain't gonna call them stuffy clothes, but they don't need workwear clothes. So that's another thing with demand forecasting, looking at what's going on around you, the weather, what's going on around you, even like, looking at stocks and looking at money. And, we have a very, very high unemployment rate right now. So weather changes, pandemic, how people and consumers are shopping, what's going on in the market, but then also just reading and researching things that are going by around you. Sometimes it's pricing, sometimes pricing can be a big issue. So there's multiple things. So I see that we have a lot of questions about these about different things. So I'm going to get to them in just a second. I just want to make sure that when it comes that you guys understand that when it comes to demand forecasting, I'm going to just break down two different ones. One being if you have historical data, of course, to look at it, you can see what's selling, what has been selling. And if you're looking at data, ideally, it's good to go back at least 3 to 4 either years or seasons, so you have enough that you're actually gathering from. Now, if you have no historical data, then you have to rely on market research and or these different tools like AI and technology and research to understand. So those are your two points. All right, so let's get into some of these questions. All right, what online sales platform do you think is ideal? I like Shopify. I think Shopify is best for your sales. Are you talking about distribution, right? I just want to clarify. I hope that's what you mean. But online sales platform. Yeah, I use Shopify, but Shopify also links in with I think you can like connect like your Etsy and you can connect like other things. Like they have like a lot of different integrations, but I think that they have the best platform because they have a lot of different tools when it comes to selling different things, and they have email strategies and merchandising. They also have like Shopify experts that can help you like grow your business and stuff. So I do recommend them. How many seasons do you think is ideal for developing, launching a brand? How many seasons do you think is ideal? I would say if you're first coming out, you probably should have an assortment plan or like a plan for at least maybe 3 to 4 seasons. So technically right now, if you're working on, or let's say you have a spring collection out now, you should already have fall already designed and getting prepped for sampling. And then you should have the spring 2025 like in like development and like one in production. But the thing is, with the way the world is, and this is another thing when it comes to sales and demand forecasting, you see collections aren't necessarily like you have to. Like you don't necessarily have to go by season. You can make seasonless merchandise like athleisure and sleepwear and a lot of different things that transition from spring to fall. So that question kind of varies because it just depends on if you're even doing season per season or if you're just launching products. Some people launch products every month, so, and they're not necessarily on a particular season. So I think that depending on the structure and operations of your brand, that will vary. I was taught in school to work backwards from 6 to 20 weeks for any product launch. Do you agree? Is that too long? It's not too long. Actually, it probably can go longer than that, but that's not too long only because the time it takes to go through each part of that supply chain, literally from concept to development to edits, production, logistics and shipping, warehousing and stuff like that. So that's not too long. I would actually even give more time. I've worked for Ralph Lauren. I've worked for Calvin Klein. I've worked for Karl Lagerfeld, and we take more time than that, but granted, we're doing a lot more units. But I do think the more time you have, the better it'll be for a product launch, just because everything takes a lot of time. Photo shoot, you got to get pictures back. You got to come up with a concept. You got to run campaigns. So I say yes. I would say 20 plus weeks if you have the time. What do you think about carryovers or carry through pieces in a brand? Do you think their items should always stock? Yes. So you should have carryover and carry through pieces because those are like the staple of the brand. Those are your KPIs, your key purchase items, and your money makers. So ideally, absolutely, you want to keep running those same things. You might want to update them and do them in different colors and or fabrics, or maybe add some extra details, but you absolutely want to continue to run the same pieces over and over, because those are going to be like your bread and butters, because those are going to be the staple pieces of your brand. All righty. And then I think there's one. Okay. Oh, yeah, some more. Okay. Do you think a clothing brand needs sales rep to sell the brand, or sales rep a thing of the past. It depends on your goals. If you're wholesaling, meaning you're trying to work with retailers, then yeah, it would be great to have a sales rep, because the sales reps are the people that have the relationship with the buyers, and they can really, really push your products for you. And that's if wholesaling is your goal. Now, if you're doing direct to consumer, then not really. You don't need a sales rep, because you're selling directly online. You might want to go more for like a brand ambassador, or like a what is the other one? Like an influencer or something like that, that you can give a promo code to, so that when people shop, you know where it's coming from, so you can see if that partnership is beneficial. But if your wholesale is your goal, you absolutely are going to need a sales rep for sure, until you establish your own relationships with buyers. All right. I was taught to buy the printed fabric before creating lookbooks and such, so that the clients don't buy the printed garments, and then the print is so very financially consuming. Any advice? I was taught to buy the printed fabric before creating lookbooks. I mean, you do want to, if you have a print, you probably are going to have to lock in some type of like copyright on a print, so then nobody else can utilize it. And that's if you're working with actual print suppliers. If you're buying something off the market, then anybody can use that print. I do think that it is a good idea as a designer to let fabric lead you in innovation, for sure. I do think that fabric makes a difference in how you actually design. So I do recommend fabric sourcing first, and then deciding what pieces and you're going to make and like design into the fabric. I myself work that way. I find my fabrications first, and then I get an idea of what I want to make. But if there's just like a certain silhouette that I just feel like I just gotta do, then I absolutely will go ahead and design first. But I very rarely do that, because fabrication is what is the differentiation point for a lot of brands. As I kind of went over with you guys last week and the week before, I have a classic brand. So that means I only do classic silhouettes. I don't do anything too crazy. So my fabrications are my bread and butter, what I utilize. My color is my bread and butter. Okay. So I hope that is helpful. Just to wrap us up, let me just make sure I go over the key points again. Demand forecasting, and that can be done if you're a new brand via social media, pre-orders, and looking at the back end of your website. You can also use the thing that I recommended, which is the company called First Insights. As a more established brand, you're going to look at your historical data. You're going to look at all the different things that you've done in the past. Okay. Next one is your lead time variances. Lead time variances, you need to make sure whether you're doing it, that you have a calculated the amount of time it takes to get the fabric, sew the fabric, and get it over and get it ready for distribution. If you're working with manufacturers or vendors, you need to make sure you have a adequate time frame when it comes to lead times. Okay. The other ones is the seasonality thing, knowing what particular silhouettes and pieces do well in certain areas. Like for instance, sleepwear. Sleepwear does the best in the Christmas season because it's an easy gift. You know, it's easy to throw someone a gift as a set of pajamas or something like that. Polos are great for Father's Day, you know, so there's different particular pieces and stuff like that that are better at certain times. So not just like swimwear being adequate in the summer or whatever, but swimwear is also great in the fall because a lot of people take vacations in the fall as well. So that seasonal thing, swimwear is not necessarily seasonal, and neither is resort wear. So understanding seasonality as well is a big thing as well. So my recommendation, guys, as I always say, it's going to definitely be a couple different books that I have right in front of me. So take out a pen and paper, and you're going to go ahead and start writing these down. First book that you want to take a look at is Ready to Wear Apparel Analysis. That is the 4th edition. It's by Brown and Rice. The second one is In Fashion. The 3rd edition, Stone Fernan. Then The Dynamics of Fashion, which is the 5th edition, Apparel Merchandising, and Retail Buying. And although you are not a buyer, retail buying and understanding how consumers shop is going to make you have a great brand and be a better designer and know how and when to create which pieces and how much. So I recommend that, and looking at different things from a different perspective, taking off your designer hat for some time and looking at merchandising, marketing, analytics, data, buying, retailing, and staying in tune with all the different resources that are available. I would even recommend making a subscription for Vogue Runway and Vogue Club. They give you a lot of insights there, and there are a lot of amazing articles that you can learn a lot from as well. Okay, so I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you guys next week. Happy Fashion Everything. I would say Friday because Friday is tomorrow. So happy Fashion Friday Eve. So peace out, designers.
Rise, entrepreneur. Take that first step towards freedom. So long to the old routine. Welcome to your new venture. There's an industry that needs disrupting. Ideas you should be challenging. It takes courage to do what you love. We'll help you begin your journey. As a business like you, dedicated to you, we can take on tomorrow together with a business account you could open today. Entrepreneurs across the UK. Start your business.